Hi friends, Ryan LeStrange with another video in my series on dreams. Today we're talking about 3 ways that demons get into your dreams. I know we don't want to talk about this. I don't like demons. I don't want to talk about demons. Years ago, someone said, you're that demon guy because I wrote so much about spiritual warfare. But here's the thing. I don't look for a demon behind every bush, but when it's there, I want to know how to deal with it. And I found 3 very common ways that demons can get into your dreams. So let's break this down. Number 1 is old doors. So sometimes in our lives, there are old doors. There are things we've been involved in, practices we engaged in. It could be something if it's in the area of a lustful type of temptation, maybe something that we've got a weakness in, a vulnerability in, an old door. I've seen people that came out of occultic practices, and they've repented and they've gotten born again, but the enemy's trying to reopen that old door. So sometimes it's an old door. And here's the thing that you need to do. Examine what is open and then close them in prayer. So if you came out of something in the area of lust and promiscuity or some kind of situation like that, maybe you've kind of slipped up recently. Maybe you've been looking at some imagery and things that are not overt sin, but they're opening up a desire in your heart. And the enemy is now showing up in your dreams, trying to move through that old door. So it's very important that you recognize that. The first thing to do is don't partner with condemnation, but recognize this may be an old doorway that the enemy is trying to crack open, or maybe I've allowed it to be cracked open. And so it's important you examine it and then close it in prayer. Another very common way that demons will show up in your dreams is what I call the law of association. So a big thing people have said to me through the years, they've said, I was, fine. I was not having any issues. And all of a sudden I've had like a series of 4 or 5 days of fear dreams. And I don't understand where these dreams came from. I'm confused about this. Sometimes, especially if you carry a sensitivity spiritually, it is the result of an atmosphere you've been in or people you've been around. This also happens frequently with lust dreams and sexual dreams, is that sometimes you've been around somebody and what's on them is trying to open up some things in your life. I call it the law of association. Proverbs 10:20 says this. It says, he who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Simply this, we tend to replicate the people and the atmospheres we spend the most time with. So if I'm in an angry atmosphere, if I'm around people that are just angry all the time, it's very easy for anger to show up in my life. If I'm around people who have very loose convictions in certain areas, it's easy for my convictions to start to move down. I remember speaking with a preacher not long ago. They got around a bunch of preachers, and they were all just very loose. And the preacher said, I found myself doing things I had been delivered out of. And that's how the enemy works. He'll try to bring you back to things and spaces and areas that God already delivered you out of. So sometimes what's showing up in your dream life, those demonic attacks are a result of association. Now, I'm not giving you this to vilify or demonize your friends. I don't want you to go attack your family members. Sometimes people have issues and you're around them because you love them, but it is a warning to be in prayer. And for some of you, it's a warning that you may be putting yourself in spaces and places that are not really good for you, okay? Here's another scripture I think is good. Proverbs 22:24. Do not associate with a man given to anger or a hot-tempered man, lest you learn his ways and find a snare for yourselves. So the spirit of anger that's on him can get off on you. This is what's happening in some of your dreams. Prophetic sight and sensitivity is the 3rd doorway or avenue demons will show up in your dreams. This is an unusual one, but here's what I mean. If you are a seer, if you are very sensitive, sometimes you are seeing God's plan to raise you up as a deliverer. So demons may show up in your dreams. You say, I keep having dreams about doing deliverance on people. I keep having dreams of these spirits. Sometimes that is God showing up and showing you your future. I've called you to be a deliverer. You're dreaming about your destiny. Let me give you another possibility. Sometimes you are seeing evil spirits and discerning them. Demons don't look pretty. I remember a number of years ago, I was dealing with somebody with a real mind attack, and this attack had been treated psychologically, had been treated medically, but I was dealing with this person on the spiritual front of this, and all of a sudden, I went into a vision. And in the vision, I saw this furry little imp that was wrapped around the person's head from front to back like this. The front side was exposed, but this imp was wrapped around like this. And it looked like a deformed, ugly, monkey-like little creature It was very small, and it was wrapped around the head like a C-clamp, and its mouth was on the ear of this person. And I could see this thing chattering and speaking and speaking and speaking. Now, I did not enjoy the experience of seeing that demon, but I recognized the reality that this was the discerning of spirits in operation. A lot of times, prophetic people are going to see things in the night, and those things can seem scary to us because, look, demons just simply are not pretty. So sometimes you're seeing evil spirits and discerning them. But understand this. Here's how to discern if the dream is God showing you something or the devil attacking you. God never leads by fear. So if you have a dream and you're discerning spirits, generally, you're not going to be fearful. You're going to be aware. You might not like what you see, but you're not going to be fearful. If you wake up and you have an abundance of fear, or if in the dream you have an abundance of fear, it's probably an attack. So understand this. In the sleep space, in that space between being asleep and awake where dreams and night visions happen, there's an abundance of revelation. This is why I believe there's so many examples of early morning prayer in the Bible. Jesus frequently got up early and prayed because in that space of quiet, of stillness, there's revelation. But the enemy tries to pollute that space of prophetic revelation. I really believe that dreams and prophetic dreams are one of God's power tools in the lives of believers. I believe God is speaking to you. Some of you say, I don't have prophetic dreams. I'm telling you, you do. You may not recognize them. You may not remember them. And that's an area we need to pray with you about. But I want to equip and help you in my upcoming prophetic class, Dreams DNA. It's about 6 hours of on-demand teaching with myself, Apostle Tamara McNair Hicks, Dr. Oscar Gabadia, teaching practically, theologically, and prophetically on dream language. We're going to talk about symbols, how to interpret dreams. I'm going to give you 4 categories of dreams and much, much more. I'm limiting this class size to just over 1,000 students. I know it seems like a lot, but it's going to fill up very fast. So what I want you to do is get on my early bird wait list. You'll get a 24-hour head start on everybody else. Go to www.LGI.Institute. I really don't want you to miss this. Now, in my next video in this series, and we're coming up on the latter portion of this, I'm going to talk about how to respond to attacks that come against your sleep. So join me on my next video series and go to www.lgi.institute. Get on my wait list right now, and I'll see you in class.